Hi guys, it's Jonas here, and today we will use the Google Sheets monthly budget template to make a budget in 7 easy steps. Doing your monthly budget manually using your bank statements is something you don't need to do every month from now on till retirement, by any means. However, because it is the whole truth of a particular month, you should do it at the beginning of your financial journey so you know where you are before you start moving in any random direction. Just as a map won't help you if you don't know your own location on that map, all the financial tips and tricks in the world are not going to help you if you don't know where you are financially today. If you haven't made a personal budget for the month before, I will show you how easy it is to do using the free software by Google. It may take you a little longer or a little less time depending on your level of experience and how many transactions you have in a month, but it took me about 15 minutes from start to finish. I've broken the process down into 7 easy steps. Create your copy, export your transactions, import your transactions, categorize, analyze, plan a change, and of course, rinse and repeat. Let's get started. So the first step is to create your copy of the Google Sheets monthly budget template by going to google.sheets.com. The first result is Google Sheets, and when we open that up, we'll go ahead and choose the personal option. The monthly budget template is the second option here, and when we click on it, it opens a Google Sheets document. Step 1 was to make our own copy, so we can go to the File menu and choose Make a Copy. When we select that, we have a prompt asking us to name the file and choose where we want to save the file in Google Drive. We'll stick with the default location for now, but rename the file to the specific month we are recording to analyze where our money is going. You'll see there are actually 2 different sheets in the document, a summary sheet for analysis and a transaction sheet where we will actually insert the transactions from our bank statement. Even if you don't have a lot of technical skills, don't worry. These are powerful tools and we will let Google do most of the tedious work for us. You can stick with the default dollar currency if you'd like, but if you deal in euros or some other currency, you may want to switch to the local currency. Luckily, this is really easy to do in Google Sheets. Now the 50% in this cell was converted as well, so we'll select that and switch it back to a percent. On the Transactions tab, we will choose the C column for amounts and convert that to euros as well. And we'll do the same for the H column on the income side. Now our Google Sheet is prepared for inputs, and we will need to sign into our online bank to get our statement. I'll do that next. Every bank is different, but once you sign in and choose the appropriate account, you can typically choose a calendar period. In this case, I chose March 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2020, and pressed download as a file. I'd recommend downloading using a CSV file type and sticking with the default delimiter for your location, which in my case is a semicolon. CSV is a simple file type which will help you to avoid compatibility issues and having to do a lot of manual editing. Once you have downloaded your file, you can return to Google Sheets and adjust your spreadsheet settings to match your CSV. We'll open the File menu and choose Spreadsheet Settings. From the Locale drop-down menu, choose the country you want Google to expect. My bank is in Finland, so that is what I will choose, and click Save Settings. After making these changes to settings, we are ready to import our bank info. Using the File menu, I will choose Import and select the Upload tab. We will simply drag and drop from our Downloads folder. To keep this clean, we will choose the Insert New Sheet option for the import location. The specific delimiter in our case, a semicolon for the separator type, and no for the auto conversion of text to avoid compatibility issues. We have some unnecessary columns here, so we will clean this up and selecting the D through F columns, press delete. Unfortunately, the amount column is not recognized as a number. We choose a cell over in an empty column and enter equals sign, click the cell with the first amount, then continue typing the multiplication sign and -1. Press enter. We have actually solved 2 problems at once by using a negative sign, because my bank gives me negative values when I spend money and positive values when I receive money. That's a great feature, but this Google template expects only positive values, whether they're expenses or income. After pressing enter, we have that. The reason we are using a spreadsheet is so we can copy things easily. After clicking the cell containing the formula, we can choose the bottom right corner by pressing and holding as we drag our cursor down the sheet to the last row and then releasing the button, and voila! You might notice some irregularities like I did here. The reason is that we have a space between the thousands and hundreds place. After removing the space, we again have a working formula. I'll go ahead and fix all the other errors as well. Now that we've fixed our entries, we can prevent headaches down the road by turning these formulas into normal numbers. We will select the column we want to keep, and by right-clicking, we can choose Cut Column. Then we choose the place where we want to put it, in this case, the original column C, and right-clicking, we can choose Paste Special and Paste Values Only, and we'll delete the old column to keep things tidy. One last step is to fix the positive values where money was put into our account and which turned into a negative thanks to the formula we used earlier. This is a pretty quick manual fix as well. There are ways to automate all of this, but the goal of this tutorial is to show a very basic way of controlling the process yourself so you know exactly where your money is going. Going back to our Transactions tab, we can see that the order of the columns is expected to be date, amount, description. We can either cut and paste one row at a time or cut and paste into the correct order and then copy and paste the entire set of values. We do that by copying and choosing the top left corner of where we want to paste these values. Our income values are still mixed in with our expenses, so we can move them over. We'll choose just the 3 columns we brought over and cut and paste the values to the correct location. While it's not necessary for accuracy, I like to keep things tidy, so we'll go ahead and delete each empty row and then move on. Now the real budgeting begins. We give each row of income a name. Here, where I have been reimbursed for purchases, I will mark as other, because these are not repeating events or actual income. I just have them over here because they are not expenses. The same goes for the expenses side. One by one, I will give each item a category. You can use the categories given, but because I have an item which didn't have an appropriate category, I decided to make some changes. Back in the Summary tab, we'll make a few changes to the categories. For example, I don't have pets, but I do have childcare expenses. And rather than debt expenses, I do have banking fees. 2 custom categories that I require are insurance and monthly investments, so we add them in here. The actual number of categories will be different for everyone, but somewhere around 10 is good. The 14 categories here is kind of on the high end and becoming too complicated. However, if you only have 3 or 4 broad categories, it will make it more difficult to come up with concrete changes in spending habits. So find a good medium that works for you. Back in our Transactions tab, we can go ahead and choose a category for our remaining transactions. We'll speed things up here a bit, but going through our transactions one by one will give us a good idea of where our money is going and give us some ideas about what kind of expenses we could avoid in the future. Moving back over to our Summary tab, we notice that something is off, and I know exactly what it is because I just went over my expenses line by line. The issue with this particular month is that the big expenses, our mortgage and monthly investment, came up twice. Because the previous month ended on a weekend, and automatic payments were paid the following banking day, which was already March. I will simply delete these 2 rows from my Transaction tab. That's more like it. So now our expenses make more sense. We are ready for step 5, analyze your income and expenses. I expect our paychecks to be the same, but the other category, with those reimbursements, I expect to return to 0 in the future, as those were one-off occurrences. On the expenses side, I expect food to be the same, gifts might be a little more, and home expenses are the same for the most part. Personal, childcare, utilities, and banking expenses will likely stay the same. The other category is likely to change, while insurance and monthly investments will stay the same for now. As we compare our income and expenses for the month, the big thing to look for is is the total income greater than total expenses or not? It should be every single month, or we are digging a hole. Our planned income at this point is what we expect next month. This is the number we should have for our planned expenses for next month, where every dollar or euro in my case is given a mission. If not for an out-of-pocket expense, then for savings and investments. I already have my fully funded emergency fund in place, so I don't need to add that anymore. First though, we need to balance the budget. We do that by reviewing our categories one by one to bring the total going out to the same amount as the income coming in. I adjusted my transportation and other categories and thought to save another 30 euros on food by eating out less. Now with a balanced budget and having planned a change, we are ready for step 7, rinse and repeat. While there is no substitute for getting started in budgeting, the big differences are in the long term, over months and years of being aware of where your money is going and how to make more of it go to where you intend. It all comes back to having the map of where you want to go, and a budget is the way to find your current location and mapping a course to build your future. So that's one easy way to make a budget using a completely free product, the Google Sheets monthly budget template. I'll leave the link to that below. How about you? Have you made a budget before? What tools have you used and what did you like about them? If you haven't made a budget on paper before, will you give it a try? Share your thoughts in the comments. Have a topic you'd like me to go into more detail in a future video? Share that in the comments as well. I will make more videos about saving, investing, and building your financial freedom in the future. So if you found this helpful, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button. If you haven't yet, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos. If someone comes to mind who would benefit from this channel, please share. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.